swinging for the fences with a question on Occupy Wall Street. Presidential candidate Newt Gingrich answering questions at a forum on faith when the conversation turned to the sense of entitlement among some. Actually, Frank Luntz was asking about personal responsibility and what the candidate's feelings are on that subject. In a remark today getting a lot of attention, Mr. Gingrich said he believes some, including these folks in connection with the Occupy movements, are more focused on personal freedom than personal responsibility.
All of the Occupy movement starts with the premise that we all owe them everything. They take over a public park they didn't pay for, to go nearby to use bathrooms they didn't pay for, to beg for food from places they don't want to pay for, to obstruct those who are going to work to pay the taxes to sustain the bathrooms and to sustain the park, so they can self-righteously explain that they are the paragons of virtue to which we owe everything. Now, that is a pretty good symptom of how much the left has collapsed as a moral system in this country, and why you need to reassert something as simple as saying to them, go get a job right after you take a bath.
Well, you heard the applause in that room, but there's some real outrage on the left in response to those comments. Joining me now to discuss it, Ford O'Connell, chairman of the Civic Forum and former director of rural outreach for the McCain presidential campaign, and Dan Gerstein, president of Gotham Ghostwriters and a Democratic strategist. Okay, so let me start with you, Dan. Do you see a problem in Gingrich's remarks?
Well, let's set aside the politics of this for a second and focus on the historical context. This is the bugaboo of the baby boom generation. This is the culture war that's getting played out throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, and getting reignited by Occupy Wall Street. And it's tapping into something very fundamental in what's dividing our country. There's a group of people who believe that the biggest problem is the government's in the way, and as long as you get government out of the way, American ingenuity will take over and will be the America we always were. And then you have another group of people who believe that our system is rigged against the middle class. And that to me is really what is the heart of Occupy Wall Street. What Newt Gingrich is focusing on is the excesses that we saw at the protests in Zuccotti Park. That's great base politics. That's going to play very well in this primary. But once you get into a general election discussion, it gets a lot more complicated.
Is he focused at Ford on the excesses? I mean, obviously there are some, some folks who are really out there infiltrating this movement. But does the movement itself have a sense of entitlement? Does it clash with our sort of fundamental capitalistic ideas? Is that a point that's fair for Gingrich, or does he deserve to be criticized for what he said?
No, it's a point that's fair for Gingrich. Occupy Wall Street is a destructive farce with no real end game. Look, independents are souring on the movement because of the violence and mayhem. And frankly, it goes against all the center-right values of hard work, free enterprise, and personal responsibility. And that's the bottom line. Gingrich is right to focus on this because Republican primary voters want a bold leader who's going to keep one eye on the economy and one eye on government reform. And we can't keep stoking the progressive embers of class warfare if we want to get out of this economic downturn.
Dan, do you see any danger in the message by some of the young folks associated with the movement when it comes to income, inequality? I mean, there's always been income inequality in the country. Yes, it's bigger now, but do you see any danger in sort of sitting back and just complaining about it as opposed to doing more to get the income yourself?
Right. This is the complexity I was talking about. On the one hand, the excesses we saw in Zuccotti Park, I had a lot of problem with because I thought it was very damaging to the larger fundamental point that many of the Occupy Wall Street people and many in the middle class across America are making, which is the income inequality in this country is out of control and it's obscene. And it's not just a question of fairness or class warfare. This is about our economy being tilted. The playing field that we always thought of in America as capitalistic. You get you rise based on your talent and your hard work. That is not true anymore. And fundamentally, a lot of Americans believe this. And that's what's animating the anger on both the right and the left right now, is that elites, people in power, people in controlling special interests, have the government under their thumb. And I think what's going to be fascinating is going to go on past this election is how those two views, the two different prisms, which we see the same problem, ultimately fuse, and whether there's a candidate that emerges.
Or do you believe that? Do you believe that as well? Because Gingrich, he has no problem saying this, and he's going to take all sorts of flack from the left as he already has today. But is he espousing something that you think most Republicans believe, which is that Dan's wrong, that it's not that if hard work won't give you rewards today, it's just that some people work harder than others and play the system better than others?
Absolutely. Look, we're in a free enterprise society. Hard work will get you there. Personal responsibility, if you can take account for yourself, will get you there. Occupy Wall Street is failing propaganda 101. No one's saying that there are not economic inequalities in this country, but violence and mayhem is not the best way to go about it, and Gingrich is right, and he should keep hitting it. And as long as President Obama chooses not to be a leader and continues to stoke these progressive embers of class warfare, Gingrich is right, and I'm right behind him.
Megyn, can I just say, I totally agree with Ford. Violence is not
yeah, we're not really talking about the violence.
No, but here's the thing. What's really problematic about what Newt said is the idea that just go get a job. There are no jobs. If you're a young person coming out of college strapped with debt, you are screwed in this economy. And that's not purely because...
It's not the take a bath part?
Yeah, well, that's problematic too. But it's go get a job. It's that tone deafness on the far right, and particularly among conservative economic elites, to the fundamental economic problems we have, where the middle class in this country is disintegrating. The playing field is tilted in the favor of big corporations and wealthy individuals, and that's not class warfare. That's just the truth.
I got to run, but I'll give you the quick last word for it. Go ahead.
You know what? I'd keep hitting Occupy Wall Street if I'm the Republicans. As long as they continue to make fools of themselves on TV, I'd keep doing it. And President Obama's wrong to attach himself to this movement. It could hurt him in the general.
Ford, Dan, thank you both so much.
Thanks, Megyn.
Thank you, Megyn.